Hi guys! Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Quick little update on my last video because it's been a while and I had my boyfriend over and he helped me do it. So it's a little more advanced than where I thought I was going to be when I showed you guys this again. But it'll work and I think I can explain it pretty easily for you guys. So basically, this is, I'm going to have to turn it a weird way. This is the stick that I chopped down and painted and got it sanded. The edges are sanded smooth. I just did all this with my Dremel because I don't have a big fancy sanding belt or anything. I just used some sanding bits on my Dremel. But it looks nice. And I got it painted. So basically, once I got all these little nubby things sanded down with my Dremel, I went in and my boyfriend wanted to shoot me for it because I did it the wrong way, but I didn't feel like walking to the shop to get an actual drill bit. So the cutting bit on my Dremel, I'll get out for here in a second for you guys if you want to see it. Actually, yeah, I'll show it to you. Just give me a sec. But you can see how there's a lot of room around this dowel peg. That's because I basically took my cutting bit and just circled it around in there until it made a hole. Which is not the correct way to bore a hole, but I was feeling lazy and I really didn't give a shit. So it worked. We put the dowel rod in there and I had my boyfriend hold it so it would stay still, and then I put a crap ton of super glue in that hole. Let it stay and it's solid now. Like, it's not going anywhere. It'll be fine. So, I mean, well, yes, technically you shouldn't be drilling holes that way. It does work if you have absolutely no other means to do it. I was just lazy. That's the simple fact of it. But that's the stick. And then somewhere around here, I actually started the foam piece that's going to go on top. The dragon head. That's the word. So I've actually already got the whole board into the bottom of this. A little smaller than 3/8 because it's foam and foam stretches. But basically the idea, see if I can do this with one hand, is for it to sit on top of the staff like that. And then I'll find, everything's falling. But the goal is for it to sit on top of the staff like that. And then I'll just epoxy the sucker on there when I'm ready for it to just stay on there forever. As far as the staff goes, I'm still going to get some red ribbon to wrap around it. I think I'm going to go from like this little nub right here. There, you guys can see it now. Whoops, that way. From that little nub right there to like down to this big nub down here. Can you see that? Yeah, right there. And then just loosely wrap a red ribbon around it. This reference picture I found from the staff, I can put it right here. But it's got like this little hook thing on the side. I haven't decided if I'm doing that or not yet. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to go with basic dragon head on a stick, essentially. Actually, that is what it is. But basically for this, now at the time, all I had was craft foam, and I don't know if you guys, yeah, you can see the lines. So these two thick sections are actually foam mats. The EVA foam, that's the word. But the very top and the very bottom are EVA foam. And then these little middle sections, I don't know how well you guys can see those fine lines. But all those fine lines in the middle is layers of craft foam that have been either hot glued or super glued together, which worked way better than I thought it would. So those are just glued together pieces of craft foam. And then EVA foam glued on top and bottom of it with the same design pattern. And somewhere around here, don't mind my mess, this is the template I made and used. It's just construction paper. It's construction paper, that's all it is. But I drew that pattern out, and then this piece right here, that makes this little ridge right here, I drew it out again. I traced it from on top of that original template. I drew it out on some lined paper, I believe, and then I cut it out of the foam as well, and then I just sanded the sides down with my Dremel until it went into like a triangle-y shape. Does that make sense? This one looks way better than the one on the other side, but it's got a point on top that I'm going to paint a black line on top of to show definition, and then it just kind of splays out into go almost flush with this. This one doesn't look quite that good because there's a ridge on it, and you can see the difference. There's not quite as much of a ridge on that one as there's that one. And of course, it was my first time sanding craft foam, so you can see a couple of like little really shiny bits that look like there's plastic on them. That would be my super glue that I used as a filler. I was almost out of that super glue, so I decided to just use it as a filler to kind of fill in those gaps. To fill in the rest of the gaps, I think I'm gonna just put epoxy on it. So, and then I spray painted it with silver, and I was an idiot because I forgot to prime it first. So my foam absorbed most of it, so it's kind of shiny. It's not really metallic shiny, but it'll work. I'll just take it for another spray of Plasti Dip when I get completely done with shaping it, and then spray paint it again with the new spray paint I got, which should be over here. I'm gonna try something new. I'm going outside of where I normally get stuff. I got all this stuff where I work because it's a hardware store, and I get 10% off, but this is the spray paint I got this time instead of like the metallic shiny stuff. And that's probably gonna be backwards for you guys, but it's Rust-Oleum Metallic. It's shiny, but it's like actual metal shiny. It's not like the super shiny chrome shit. It's like metallic shiny, which hopefully will work really well. We shall see. But that's as far as I've got done on that stuff. And then while I was actually I was out with the boyfriend one day and we went on a shopping spree, also where I work because at 10%. But then we started getting supplies for Hawk's Staff of Parlothan, which I am super excited about. And I started making the fingers, and today I think I'm going to I might do a separate vlog, I might combine it into this one, but I'm going to attach my little Sculpey covered in epoxy thing because it started shattering. Yeah, that was a fun experience. Anyways, I have Hawk's Staff of Parlothan orb, and it's all set and ready to go. That string is just so I can hang it on this thing. The string is not actually going to be in there because I found being able to hang it from my mom's candle hook was way easier to apply epoxy to rather than trying to finagle it with all my fingers and then hang it up there and hope that it doesn't hit on anything. So this way it's all at arm level and it's just easier. It's really just easier. And as much fun as I've had making this thing, don't look at it too closely. Let's see. So I'm gonna show you why not to look at it too closely. So basically, if I can get my camera stabilized in one hand correctly, basically, I made the fingers and I put copper wire supports in them so that they would stay. Those 3 fingers that are going up have copper supports in them. Ooh, that chair is broken. And my watch is going off. My watch was going off, and yes, I'm the weirdo that has it strapped to my belt loop because way too many bracelets for some reason today. Guess I felt like being a skater kid again. Anyways, so I'm gonna show you what's up with these so that you guys can hopefully learn from my mistakes. The whole thing's covered in epoxy, so it's gonna be solid now. But I did those fingers without the orb in it. I bent the metal supports around. Okay, so starting off with the bare basics, I had the orb in the little container thing, whatever you want to call that. I had the orb on that, and then I put the base Sculpey around it. So I started with this stuff, and then once that was up to where it is now with this little edge, I cut 3 wires of different lengths for the arms. For just these pokey arms. This one around here, as you'll see later, actually doesn't have a wire support, and you can tell because it's really broken in one spot. But I put wire supports in those, and then I put the clay around it, and I left a little bit of room so that the copper was still showing, and then I pushed that into the base down here. I put more Sculpey on top of it and blended it in so that it would stay there. And then once I did that with all 3 fingers, I dried it with a heat gun. since it's a solar LED light and I actually can still turn it on. Whoa! But I can still turn it on, and so I didn't want to risk ruining the solar panels. So I just took a heat gun to it, and I didn't want it to melt the glass or alter the glass in any way. I didn't want it to melt my spray paint. So I took the orb out of it, blew it dry with a heat gun, or cooked it with a heat gun, and then I tried to put the orb back in it the next day once it had all cooled and set and whatever. I mean, Sculpey's amazing. It's versatile. But once you try to once you try to put it into a shape that it doesn't go to, like most things, it breaks once it's dry. So right here, hopefully it'll focus. Come on. I don't think it's going to focus. But right here, you can see where the copper poked out in those two little places. And that one's actually not the worst break that's on here. And then the crack goes all the way up, and it's just shattered. Like, it didn't just break off like, oops, oh, let's glue that back on. It shattered. I was not a happy camper. And then it did the same thing on this side, which is why my epoxy's all rough and looks like water, because I just put a crap ton of epoxy on that one because that one was the worst break. You can kind of see the copper. You can see the copper through the epoxy. And then for you guys, there's so much epoxy on it, you can't see the cracks. But it literally like cracked even my base in half. That one was really bad. And then, so that was a fun one to fix. And it took a little bit, but I fixed it. So long story short, I had a backup orb. I don't know why I didn't just use it to shape it and then take it out, but apparently I didn't think that was a good idea, so whatever. And I had a backup orb because when I started this with my boyfriend, we lost this bit because he was taking apart the solar light to see if there was any way we could like do this differently, even make it easier. And we lost this bit in my blankets down here where I sleep in my parents' basement like a hermit. And we lost the thing, and then we found it when he kneeled on it. So yeah. It didn't work for what we needed it anymore. So I had to go back to work and get a solar light the next day after I got off. And I brought the new one home. So I have 2 orbs and 1 thing. I could have just put the clear orb in there now that I'm thinking about it, but I didn't. Well, it's whatever. It's epoxied. It's fixed. It'll do. But that was the big struggle for this, was to just make sure that you have the orb in there. And yeah, mine doesn't look exactly like the top of Hawk staff, but I'm okay with that because I wanted to be able to take the orb in and out so that I could charge it so that the solar panel in there could charge. But I'm not going to be able to get the orb off of it. So if the solar battery ever dies, I'll just have to... Why does my watch keep going off? I did not snooze you. I told you to go off. But if the solar battery ever dies, then I have the backup one from the other base, I guess. So my plan is to get this little piece that goes in, because this right here is just like an old bottle cap. So that I'll be able to take it in and out of the staff at will. And then I can twist this little thing and take it off. I can't really do it with one hand and then put it back, but... I can just take that thing off, and then there's a battery in there, and I saved the other battery from the other base, so I'll be able to use that one for it. But today, this is my project. I'm going to be working on the Hawk staff of Parlathan. If I do anything with the other staff, I'm just going to be plastic dipping the dragon. Nothing too exciting, but I am going to Taylor's going to be here today, luckily, so maybe she'll help me do my vloggy stuff for drilling the holes in the top. So, yeah, should be fun. I was going to say something, and then I totally forgot what it was. Good job, Maddie. But that's how I made my orb. If you guys have any further questions on it, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, I swear. But, yeah, that's all I got for you today. If you ever have any questions about any of these cosplay things or how I do something, feel free to leave comments and questions and message me, whatever. I don't know if YouTube still has a PMing system or not. I don't think it does. I don't know. But, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'll reply to you as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys!